Surat is expanding at a hyper-accelerated rate, pushing its concrete grid outward to consume the surrounding rural peripheries. That expansion collides with the Arabian Sea at the Dumas Sultanabad coastal belt, creating a high-value geographic choke point positioned between heavy industrial zones and global transit routes. Less than 10 kilometers away sits the recently expanded Surat International Airport, driving immense commercial demand for the surrounding acreage. Yet sitting directly on this highly coveted, rapidly appreciating coastal real estate is a massive spatial anomaly, a large, completely inactive plot of land. This is the historic Petit Parsi Sanatorium. Built in the 19th century through community philanthropy, it was designed as an exclusive health retreat where members of the Parsi Zoroastrian community could recover in the tranquil sea air. Today, the facility is officially closed down. The structures are decaying from prolonged exposure to the saline environment, and the site serves zero community function. This total dormancy stands in extreme contrast to the immediate surroundings, which are heavily trafficked by tourists and religious devotees. Looking at this 2D spatial map of the Sultanabad coast, we can quantify the disparity in public footfall. The 5 active surrounding temples maintain high operational ratings and consistent public use, while the Petit site remains a flat, dark gray, entirely non-operational. Trust law, internal insolvency, and municipal expansion converged on this plot to ensure its eventual closure. The decline of the sanitarium model begins with the shifting demographics of the Parsi community. As younger generations migrated to international centers and adopted modern hospitality preferences, the demand for communal convalescent lodging evaporated. Simultaneously, maintaining a massive coastal property under strict coastal regulation zone guidelines guarantees that the cost of combating daily saline decay will always outpace the nominal fees collected from a shrinking user base. Examine the financial ledger for a similar proxy, Sanatorium. It generates just 16 lakh rupees annually, instantly eclipsed by over 63 lakh in operational expenditures. This unsustainable deficit exists because it's operationally irrelevant, maintaining bed occupancy below 11%. For a charitable trust, this type of financial bleeding triggers a specific legal mechanism, Section 36 of the Bombay Public Trusts Act. Section 36 mandates that trustees have an absolute fiduciary duty. Their primary legal obligation is to protect the financial corpus of the trust for the greater good of its beneficiaries. This creates a stark conflict. Grassroots community members often demand the preservation of physical heritage, but the trustees are legally obligated to stop funding a dead asset. Every rupee spent repairing an empty beach house carries an opportunity cost. That same capital is legally required to be diverted toward active medical aid or educational scholarships. Faced with this math, the trustees have only one logical endgame. They must attempt to monetize the underlying land or systematically abandon the non-performing asset to save the overarching charity. Caretakers legally triage the Dumas property, sacrificing a non-functional asset to protect the financial integrity of the parent trust. While the structures rot, a specific legal flaw exists in the title to the land itself. The Petit Trust does not actually hold the freehold title to the Dumas plot. They own the deteriorating superstructures built on top of a government-issued lease. That long-term government lease has expired, leaving the trust without any legal security over the land. This 3D isometric diagram illustrates the legal mechanism known as the doctrine of reversion. The moment the lease expires, the land slides away from the lessee and instantly reverts back to the state, severing the trust's foundation. The trust is currently in a state of holding over. They physically occupy the space, but they operate without a valid contractual shield. In the cutthroat real estate market of Surat, leaving a high-value property dormant without lease protection invites aggressive external threats. In mid-2024, the CID uncovered a massive land scam in the Dumas region involving the creation of hundreds of fake property cards. Corrupt officials and private developers actively look for the administrative ambiguity of dormant lands. They exploit the silence to literally remap and steal the property on paper. Lacking physical occupants to report trespassing, lacking an active lease for ownership, it becomes the ultimate high-value target for paper usurpation. The expired lease strips the sanatorium of its legal armor, transitioning the site from a protected private sanctuary into defenseless prey, exposed to both criminal enterprises and state acquisition. The final, overwhelming force driving the site's closure is the Surat Municipal Corporation, operating under an aggressive urban planning mandate. The SMC is executing a flagship initiative, the 102-hectare Dumas Seaface Revitalization Project. This architectural master plan breaks the Dumas coastline down into 4 distinct operational zones for development. The Petit Sanatorium's large piece of land sits directly inside the project's most intensive development sector, Zone 1, designated as the urban hub. This exact location is scheduled for high-density public infrastructure, including multi-level parking, arrival plazas, and an urban beach. To acquire this land, the SMC utilizes town planning, or TP schemes, specifically numbers 79 and 80 for the Sultanabad area. TP schemes grant municipalities the unilateral power to reconstitute private boundaries. They can acquire critical land for public amenities directly, bypassing the traditional friction of eminent domain. We can see the exact limits of this municipal power by looking back at the Sanitarium, which survived a similar existential crisis. Sanjan survived because an anonymous donor stepped in to cover all operating losses, and crucially, because the facility was built on secure, freehold land. Similarly, the Petit Parsi Sanitarium faced municipal road expansion, but its active resident population allowed for sustained legal resistance against the city. The NM Petit Trust has no such leverage. They have 0 active occupants, massive structural decay, and absolutely no legal title to the dirt beneath their buildings. This forces an inevitable negotiation. The trust must surrender the decaying superstructures to the SMC, likely in exchange for marginal compensation or a smaller alternative plot elsewhere in the city. The physical space will transition completely. The exclusive gated community sanctuary will be dismantled to make way for an integrated, high-traffic public tourism hub. The Dumas Seaface project advances by reclaiming the space once occupied by the Sanitarium, utilizing the expiration of a 19th-century lease to facilitate 21st-century urban growth.